Shaykh al-Fawzan, he mentions, so it is upon the teachers and the educators to stick to the scholars, stick to the well-known and the trustworthy ones for knowledge and for correct aqeedah. They should take knowledge from them to the extent that one has a connection and a chain of knowledge leading back to the Prophet ﷺ. So they take knowledge which is beneficial and pure and clean from those trustworthy, reliable scholars, so that they are upon basira and connected to the Prophet ﷺ through that chain of narration that takes them back to the Sunnah of Allah's Messenger ﷺ. And from the du'at and from the educators are those who have a great deficiency, those who claim that they have books and they have no need for ulama. You find people like this out there, and I'm sure many of you are listening in today have heard of these types of people, that they claim that they have books and that is sufficient for them. Shaykh al-Fawzan mentions that this is a grave mistake. The individual who says that my scholar is my book, and this leads to grave dangers, because other than the book of Allah and other than the Sunnah of Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there is no book except that it will have errors. Some even contain poisonous ideas, and the newly educated teacher can in harm and benefit. So it is upon the newcomer in educating to understand and to learn, and that terms and books are to be explained to him, that he cannot take a book and claim that he is the one who understands the book just by reading a book. He needs to study that book with an alim, with a scholar, so that he can distinguish, so that books are explained to him and the obscure matters are clarified for him. And if knowledge was present and only taken from the books, then why did those who preceded us in knowledge, those who preceded us from the ulama, why did they travel vast distances and encounter dangers and spend long periods of time in pursuit of knowledge? Why did they do so? Except that they understood the importance of taking knowledge, the importance. And it is known that from the Sahaba, there were those individuals from the Sahaba who would travel, like from a Sahabi who would travel for a singular hadith of the Prophet ﷺ he did not know, that he would travel for a whole month just to hear one hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. And likewise, if you look at Imam al-Bukhari, Imam al-Bukhari spent 46 years in pursuit of the hadith in which he gathered together in his Sahih al-Jami, or the book which is commonly known today as Sahih al-Bukhari. Over 46 years in travelling for ilm, 46 years in pursuit of knowledge, over 1,000 scholars that he took knowledge from. This is Imam al-Bukhari, Amir al-Mu'minin fil Hadith. What about Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, who travelled from Iraq to Yemen and the Hijaz, and other than them from the lands? This is Ahmad ibn Hanbal, to take knowledge from the ulama. And also those who have travelled from the great Imams such as Imam al-Shafi'i, and we mentioned Imam al-Bukhari, likewise Abu Zur'a al-Razi, Abu Hatim al-Razi, Abdul Rahman ibn Mahdi. All of these ulama, they used to travel in pursuit of knowledge. So much so that many of the Salaf, they used to say that the one who did not travel for knowledge, then he has no knowledge to impart. One needs to go out in pursuit of knowledge and seek that knowledge from those who are trustworthy, those from whom it is known that they are firm and steadfast upon the Sunnah of Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Shaykh al-Fawzan, he mentions that if ilm was taken just from the books, then these great Imams would have just sat and remained in their lands, and just read books, and would have left off would have left off journeying. And that it is hard and difficult to find that, and it is possible to spend and purchase books and read those books. However, that in itself does not benefit. In fact, it may harm more than it benefits, because a person, when he reads a book, that book is not explained to him, that book is not detailed for him the details of that book, the restrictions of that writing, that which is correct in the book from that which is harmful in the book. It is unknown to him, and it is not made clear to him. So therefore an individual may even be harmed by just relying upon books. Furthermore, that you'll find that individuals who focus upon books, that the books many a time do not humble that individual, because it is sitting with the scholar, seeing the manners of the scholar, how the scholar behaves, how the scholar teaches, how the scholar is, how stern he is, how humble he is, how kind he is, how malleable he is, how lenient he is, how kind he is, how he is with his students. All of this, if you sit with an alim, you will gain, and you will not be able to gain that from merely books. So therefore an individual, when he picks up a book, he may become arrogant because he doesn't know how to behave. He just reads and then he flies off the handle with what he has read. But as for the one who studies with the alim, and the alim teaches him, and the alim humbles him, and he feels humbled at the feet of the alim, in the durus of the scholar, and then that individual knows his own worth. He knows that in the sight of true knowledge that he doesn't possess much. Whereas when a person reads the book can beguile him. He can be beguiled by what he has read, thinking him to be possessing of knowledge, that knowledge which is small, but he may regard it to be great. And we give an example. Shaykh al-Fawzan mentions, if you were ill, would you go to a chemist and grab any medicine, or would you first go to a doctor? So he will inform you of the type of illness and prescribe it for you, and prescribe for you the necessary medicine. What do? Would you just say, so you just go to the chemist and take anything off the shelf, or would you first go to the expert, the doctor? And you go to that doctor, and the doctor informs you of your illness, and then he prescribes you your medicine. Then you go to the chemist. And you do this so that you do not take the wrong medicine that is incorrect and causes you harm. Likewise with ilm, Shaykh al-Fawzan mentions, it is important and necessary that you go to the specialist in that, specialist in ilm, and you take from them, and that you do not rely upon books alone, out of fear that you may fall into dalala due to doubts which you may encounter. It reminds me, my brothers and sisters, of a situation which I recalled back in Sri Lanka several years ago when I was there. That there was an individual that he used to teach from Fathul Bari, and he was new to Salafiyya in reality, but he had studied some Arabic language, and he felt that he could teach Fathul Bari. And I informed him that unless you understand the Aqidah, and you are not, and unless you are mutamakkin in the Aqidah to Salafiyya, that if you just go to Fathul Bari like that, then you may in fact confuse yourself and confuse others. Because there is no doubt that the great Imam al-Hafidh ibn Hajar rahimahullah ta'ala, that even in his understanding of the Asma wa Sifat, that he had some errors in that regard. May Allah forgive him and may Allah pardon him, but nevertheless he was a great Imam. So I informed this brother. I said to him, you know what, akhi, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and teach. First of all, learn at the feet of a scholar, or at least take from the direct wording of the scholars, and do not, just so that you can raise yourself or that you feel you need to compete with others, go to Fathul Bari. And you should start by teaching and by reading the books that the scholars begin with. In Sri Lanka, what is needed? Usul al-Thalatha, Qawaid al-Arba, Kitab al-Tawheed, Aqidat al-Wasatiyya, basic books. Though they sound basic, even though when one teaches them, that they can become very detailed, especially books such as Kitab al-Tawheed and Masail al-Jahiliyyah, and likewise Aqidat al-Wasatiyya and others. And I informed him that in fiqh, there's no harm if you go to Bulugh al-Maram, as has been advised by the likes of Shaykh Abdul Aziz ibn Baz rahimahullah and others. but he must learn these books first. He took no notice of the advice that he was given, and he continued teaching. And then I heard several months later that he had become Ash'ari, Deobandi, and Ash'ari in his Aqidah Maturidi. And this is the danger, my brothers and sisters, of just taking to the books and not connecting oneself with the ulama. And even if you are distant from the ulama, that one should always try to get hold of their tapes and their CDs. Make a visit to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, make a visit to Mecca and visit Sheikh Rabi' and Sheikh Bazmul, and likewise make a visit to Medina and visit the likes of Ali Nasr al-Faqihi, Abdul Muhsin al-Abbad, Ubayd al-Jabiree, Muhammad ibn Hadi al-Madkhali, and other than them from the ulama. And likewise one should visit Riyadh and Samita and visit the likes of the Mufti Abdul Aziz al-Sheikh and Sheikh al-Fawzan, and sit in their durus and benefit from them. Abdullah al-Ghudayan, Sheikh Zayd al-Madkhali, and other than them. That one should take every opportunity to listen to them, to get hold of their lectures, to get hold of their CDs, visit them, sit in their durus, see how they behave, see how they act, see how they react, see how they teach their students, so that we can benefit from all of this, my brothers and sisters. Because otherwise, that our being munazil, or our being distant and separated, and making i'tizal and separating ourselves from the ulama, then this is only to our detriment and to our own destruction. And that's why you find that statement that we mentioned earlier, that statement of the great Imam, the great Sahabi Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu. What did he say? Remember the words that he used, my brothers and sisters, and don't forget them, in which he said, لا يزال الناس بخير ما أتاهم العلم من علمائهم وكبرائهم. That the people will never cease to be upon good so long as they are taking their knowledge from the ulama and from the elders from amongst the ulama. This is what we are referring to here, and this is what I advise you with, this is what I advise myself with, and this is the way of the Salaf in terms of taking knowledge.